Welcome to a Metabreakers Monday Musing with Phil. This video is made possible by our patrons.
Hello and welcome to Metabreakers. Yeah, who's here for the audio chat? That's all we want to know. For the audio check. Hello and welcome back to another Monday Musing. I'm as probably surprised as you are that I'm doing two of these in a row. It's been a crazy hobby week, and I just thought it'd be good fun to do a quick show and update people on where we're at with a whole bunch of stuff. But it is, without a doubt, the dominant aspect of this week has been deciding to do a tournament, inventing a tournament, creating a tournament pack, and building that pack, and realizing how much terrain we need, and doing all of that and launching the tournament. So it's been a crazy tournament-esque kind of week. And I know I did a show last week where we're going, oh, we're going to do it, and we think we've got an idea for the pack. Well, it's all there, it's live. So that's really exciting. Daz Moore says, hello Daz. Mate, I'm going to need your tables, so I'm really glad you're on the chat. I think we're good, but I think between the two of us we can make this tournament absolutely work in 6 weeks' time, so thanks for joining us. Well, I'm hoping you can hear me okay, and I noticed last week my proper mic wasn't working, so apologies for the sound quality. Something like that really grates me, so I'm on it this week. And you can probably see the studio behind me is just a mess, and we'll be talking about why that is. But I thought, let's follow the format of the old Monday Muse, and let's get into the show, really. Any questions, anything like that? Oh, thank you, Coleman, telling me the audio fine. Any questions or anything you want to point out, just pop it in the chat and I'll see if I can keep up with it. I'm on my own tonight. Jack is away in the heart of Warhammer, so he's up in Nottingham. In terms of radiotherapy-related head pain, I'm going to call it a 5 out of 10. So I'll do my best on concentration, but I think we'll probably again aim for about a 30-minute show, something. Oh, there we are. There was a little radiotherapy glitch, something like that. Oh my life! Right, I thought we'd have a look at the hobby news then. Here we are. This channel is all about Age of Sigmar. So let's just have a look at the main articles that we're in. Saturday's pre-orders are in. Cities of Sigmar, I don't know what to say about it really. It's just stunning, isn't it? We were lucky enough to receive some of the models which JP has been painting up. We'll talk about this later. And the Pontifex as well, which by the way, I'm just in love with this Pontifex model. And I love this sort of dark rumor history backdrop behind it, and all those kind of things, like, is it the corpse or is it the character and those kind of things. That is possibly one of the best miniatures ever released, ever. Just absolutely love it. Stunning classic pose from artwork, which I think you could probably catch in the Louvre. Free Guild and Marshall. It's just an incredible range, isn't it? Let's face it. Highly detailed, but oh my, what fun. What fun to paint this range. I don't know where to stop really. The ogre, I love the sort of noble-esque ogre, the one that's, the less sort of driven by hunger into stupidity. Which, by the way, if any of you guys have listened to the Recce Flint audio book, which covers a Caradron Overlord captain who actually has a ogre as part of his crew, who is from the Moor tribe, hunger sort of side of things, but with just that little bit more brain that he can function as a crew member. I highly recommend you check that book out, because the ogre in that is absolutely stunning, funny character. Yeah, I mean, what can I say? This is the unit of the year. Come on, what were they thinking? And again, yeah, just such a stunning range of models. Absolutely amazing. Love these little bits of chain hanging down below. Ah, dear me. It just doesn't stop, does it? It just doesn't stop. Well, what can we say? They've done it. By the way, I really love the Black Talon series, so to have these characters available. Again, stunning. One of my favourite characters, by the way, out of Black Talon. Don't know whether you've had a chance to watch it on Warhammer TV Plus, but if you haven't, the Iden of Deepkin character in that is proper dodgy. Absolutely love her. She's like, yeah, I'm going to help you, but I'm not dying for this mission. So really like that. And of course, I think universally accepted now, possibly the greatest sculptor that Games Workshop has released in a long time. And that's saying something, because I think they have done some great sculpts. And then of course we've got the blade of Belathanos. And of course the mirror of the character above, where we see this Lord Harbinger of Decay, and again all available for pre-order. I've had the pleasure of handling some of those models in advance. I think I did the photography for JP because he was super busy, so JP was fortunate enough to have, well, I say fortunate, you know what, absolutely deserved it, have some of his painting featured in GW. So, you know, if we go to, here we go, there's JP's version, stunning, the work he did on the feathers on that. I just think it's actually, and what he did on the mane was ridiculous, by the way. If you haven't seen this image, it's even better in real life. Really nicely done, fantastic color scheme, wonderful use of color theory to create a very dynamic feel to that model, and an insane amount of tonal contrast taking place in that mane. Literally some of the best painting I've seen, I think, just ever. And I know that this is a particular style that JP follows in terms of, you know, it's not necessarily like the super smooth blend and all that kind of stuff. It's got that style to it, but my God, what incredible work. Yeah, stunning. He then went on for the double whammy, didn't he? And produced this beauty, which is just a loss for words. The iridescent effect that he produced on the shell. Where do we start? I don't know how he did it. It's obviously clearly magic that he's using at the tips of his really appalling scruffy brushes that he uses, but you know, still manages to produce this incredible effect. So yeah, well done, JP. I've kind of semi-dipped into channel news really, because it's really talking about what JP's been up to, but needless to say, Games Workshop, I think the biggest complaint these guys have had over the last sort of week or so is probably, how do you expect my wallet to handle that? I think that's the problem, just too much coming through, too good, too much at the same time. Where do you go? You know, but you know, show respect, show restraint. Those if you can't afford those Cities of Sigmar models yet, and they'll still be around for a while. I don't think they're gonna you know, gonna squat them quite yet. I think we might be all right to collect them next year or something, which is my plan. I'm adjusting my brain to think in terms of next year and stuff like that. So why not? Why not? That's something I can do next year. I can see Jack now just like sighing as I've just announced that I'm going to be doing the Cities of Sigmar army. I'm not even sure it's my play style, but we'll see. Great stuff, needless to say. Lots of other cool stuff going on. There was a Meta Watch that took place. I mean, it wasn't you know, super crazy. Iron Jaws at the bottom, you know, no shit Sherlock. I've been playing the new pigs. I think universally the worst War Scroll that Games Workshop have released in a long time. It literally makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, the character's probably slightly better, but you know, it's one of those War Scrolls that needs rethinking, and then, you know, tweaking points is not going to save it. So it's quite a depressing thing when you've got such a beautiful model being added to a faction. You know, my opinion, and I've been up against some harder counters, but as far as what I'm facing with that army, but it just doesn't make a lot of sense. I can't see in any competitive sense the big pig is making the table. Maybe, like I say, maybe the big character or something like that. But for me, the greenskins have always been a hobby project first and foremost. so I tend not to over worry about how much they perform on the table, except for that unit. I just couldn't hold myself back. I had to freak out about it. Jack was playing against me. He was just like, oh man, he's gone. Yeah, it's kind of, it's one of those things, isn't it? I think this particular meta watches, the win rates and stuff are based on overall games and not necessarily the sort of top end competitive play. So there's obviously some factor in taking place, but I hate to say competitive, folks, this is probably the real world for most people who play Sigmar who don't play competitively. So this kind of makes sense, this order. Love to know what everybody else's thoughts are on this one. Common had to hold on to cities, but got the dragons, the black talon straight away. Oh, there you go, you see. Love his, oh, bless you. Who cares about the playstyle when the models look this good? I know. But, I also have, the other thing that's kind of going through my mind is I don't know how much permanent damage, I don't want to hark on about this, but I don't know how much permanent damage the tumor has done to my optic nerves. And it did a lot of damage. So I'm not sure I'll be ever be able to paint again at that level. So, things like the big pigs and stuff appeal to me because I can, big hands, big elbows, big feet, all the better to smash and bash you with. But that kind of super fine detail just looks beyond me, certainly at this stage. But who knows? You never know. The optic nerves might. I actually had a meeting with a consultant this week, and she said like the neurons have this incredible persistent way that if there's enough of them left, some of them reprogram themselves. So you never know, that might happen. I'd love to be able to feel my left toes. We'll see. Yeah, so it was a good article. The video was good. It was nice. It was good to see that. I think it was quite an open conversation of saying, we've got stuff we need to do to get right, and I think it's always good to see them being more open than not. So for me, it was a good video, and I'd encourage them to go, further with that. They kind of said, oh, we tweak this. It needs some more work. I think they need to say, I'd be happy to hear them go a little bit further, going, yeah, we really need to do something there, But they got to be careful what they say, I suppose. Otherwise, crazy. Internet world just picks up on it, doesn't it? And off we go. So there you go. I think that's in terms of what's been happening in the hobby, really. A bit of a meta release, and lots of beautiful models. I mean, there's more about Armies of Renown, of course. That's still the impact of that is still being felt on the game. Some more than others. Some tweaks taking place as part of that meta watch. But interesting to see. I still think Army Renowns is the thing to watch as we move forward, to see how much that becomes a model, or whether it's just something they'll experiment with as part of this pack. And I don't know whether they've said anything official or out there in the real world that might or challenge that. So there we go. Project update. Oh my camera's working this week. How about that? Well, there's a couple of things I want to show you. I'm going to have to keep doing this, I'm afraid. So it's not a lot. Jack has been working on more of his beautiful Trog Riders, and I'm in love with what he's done with these. These aren't finished, and he's possibly going to kill me for showing them. But I just love them. This guy on top of this Trog is just like boshing around on his little custom throne. He's just having a great time, and there's a little bit of a squig caught in the net in the back there. It could be for lunch, or I don't know, maybe the squig's just got tired legs and they're giving it a lift. Who knows? Who quite knows what's happening? This red is insane. I still don't quite understand how he achieved it, but it's absolutely beautiful. And you know what? You like that? You like one? Well, guess what? There's two of them, and it's just absolutely stunning. I love it. These two guys here hopping along, like pulling on the chains around the neck of the Trog. I'm loving it. The little loose slack harness holding the belly plate on, just so they feel part of the army. There's a little dude down here carrying the mushroom. There's so much going off on these things, and I'm just absolutely in love with them. And I think what he's done with them is just absolutely beautiful. I've not been doing a lot. I did push on with Big Pig. As you know, most of my chariots are basically done now. The reason they're not being painted is because I'm trying to push on and get the entire set of them done to the kind of prime standard, and then we'll push on and do a big paint job on them. So yeah, this has been converted to have like saddled ard boys, rather so using the horns sort of thing and having the saddled legs. And of course, it makes sense if you're wondering where the legs came from. It's because I hacked the the riders off of these pigs, so I had 4 sets of legs that I could use. I've kind of boosted him quite a bit, given him more presence. Double-headed his axe. I like the idea of putting a chain back in his hand. I know he had a chain in his hand, I think, but I doubled it up so he was like on either side. And then massively expanded this out in terms of the trophy rack with the fetishes on the back and those kind of things, as well as the kind of big pig. And then, of course, like sticking it into the leaping pose. And what I'm really trying to do is drive some distinction from the standard crew. If you kind of look in a comparison, this thing's got a lot more table presence, and that's what I wanted from the boss. I mean, in terms of board size, it's still the same, but just feel it's got a lot more table presence as the boss, basically. And I think particularly when I pick it out and paint it up, I just need to do some bricks baking off here as the claw like kicks through the top of that wall. There's going to be some bricks flying forward and stuff like that. That's all happening, I think, tomorrow. That's a little chariot. Still love the fact that it exists. But it's fair to say, actually, the vast majority of work that's been taking place is bucket tons of terrain. I'm really loving this terrain. I don't know whether this is going to fit on camera, but this is, a garrisonable piece of terrain for our Oogloo table. So the sort of cave depths is what we're aiming on. I'm just going to keep rolling it 'cause it's ginormous. But the idea is that kind of sits like that, and again, it's a garrisonable piece of terrain. There's a distinction in this one between other ones. There's tons of this. Yeah, it's all back there. I think I'm showing some photos of it later anyway. So yeah, so lots and lots of terrain work has been taking place in the last few days, which will make sense more as we talk about the tournament. James talking about the new Harbinger is amazing. The Trog skin is so nice. I know. I don't quite know how. There was a lot of paints on his desk, and I wasn't really paying attention. And then I turned around and I was like, "What's he up to?" And then there's suddenly that red staring at me, and I was just like, "Yeah, well, there you go." Nervous Magikarps. I just love that. Magikarp. Great to see you back doing the dank hold myself at the moment. So cool, great, that's good. I'm glad to be back as well. And Martin Dixie, I'm late. Don't worry about it, mate. Don't worry about it. I think you're on the show anyway, even without being here. But we'll come to that, won't we? Right. Well, where are we at then? I think we were just going to do a quick channel update. A lot of what's been happening on the channel, really. I should mention Luke and Phil are filming a battle report tonight. I have absolutely no idea what factions they're playing. I'm normally on top of that, but because I've been preparing for this show, I've no idea. But how fantastic is that there's a battle report out there that exists I don't really know anything about. So those guys have really kind of stepped up and just get on with it, which is brilliant. And Fabian providing editorial services as well, which is absolutely brilliant. So there's a battle report happening tonight, and no doubt Phil is throwing dice, and Luke is doing his usual of just smashing his way through and putting stuff in the bin if it didn't work. But it will be good to see what that battle report turns out like. Chatted to Luke briefly today as well. That was good. But I mean, in terms of what else, what else has been going on? JP's been putting up his incredible shorts. If you haven't seen this range, you need to check it out. The Crawl Boys Monster Killer Egg. I've got that somewhere. It's here. I stole it. I stole it from his house. Kind of, that's the benefit of visiting in him. I waved my arms around a lot, distracted him, and walked out his house with it. So I'm pretty pleased about that. got a little crazy little orangutan type creature as well. So yeah, I stole that. There's no avoiding it. I'm just gonna have to come clean. But of course, he's working on the Belanoff. He did a quick shot on the iridescent. You'll note that's the other side, so it's like a fresh painted one for the tutorial. Ooh, excuse me. And he's been doing speed runs on Trogoffs, and there was an Iron Jaws one in there, and oh mate, it's done so much. But I think this one went down insane. I think that one was a great tutorial how to paint the new cities, iridescent armor. All of these, of course, are the 60-second shorts, which are absolutely fantastic. In terms of videos, the guys have been putting out a bit of... So we got the Speed Painting Masterclass. I'm obsessed with JP being the Bob Ross of Metabreakers, or certainly the Bob Ross of Warhammer. I'm obsessed with that. I don't know how true that is, but I think it's pretty damn true, to be honest. And then in terms of live shows, I think obviously we had the Monday Musing, of which, hey look, there's history repeating. Oh, and if you haven't caught this Belgium GT, this was a great show. So this was the guys talking about 5 team event win streaks in a row. So a 5 win streak in a row at team events, and they'd just come back from the Belgium GT victorious again. And it was a great chat, actually. It was a really strong show, I think. So if you haven't checked that out yet, do so. I think that's it for the channel update. Where are we into? Tournament update. Well, yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, there's a lot going off at the moment in terms of terrain, as I mentioned. So I'm slightly concerned that this might not work, but we're going to do it. Let's see. It works. It works. So here we go. So here's a bunch of terrain I was talking about that we're working on at the moment. This is Battlefield toilets, which I thought was really funny. Battlefield hobbies, but this is the view into the gaming hall, and this is a quick shot of the gaming hall. There's going to be 14 tables, 28 players. If we get oversubscribed, there's a chance I can squeeze some more tables in, but I'm really probably not going to do that. I like the idea of keeping elbow space for everybody, and it being more of a party thing. So I think that's the overriding ambition. We've been having terrain parties. Liam was around building a whole bunch of terrain. This is 2 tables happening simultaneous, so an Ugloo and a Ger terrain. So Ger Wasteland and Ugloo Caves taking place. And as you can see, they were just getting kind of beat up, primed up, and zenithalled for... I'm just going to lay a bunch of colours over on those with the airbrush, and then pass over to a terrain party to pick out details, I think. And that's what we're really aiming at the moment, is trying to fit some terrain parties in between now and the tournament. But you can see what I'm trying to do. The objective is to have beautiful, immersive tables that you're playing your games on, where terrain is having an impact on play. I think that absolutely sits in with what we're trying to do. I think it's difficult to get terrain to have a lot of impact on Age of Sigmar. But I think if you play the rules right, and you and I don't necessarily mean like the the mystical terrain rules. I'm talking about if you apply things like a wildwood equivalent, so you've got some kind of line of sight blocking. If you play some garrisonable terrain, if you are playing impassable, which I know isn't a strict keyword, but I think it's okay for tournaments to implement that in, so it stops the crazy flyers on top of stuff, and kind of makes the terrain more part of the game. Then I think it can be done. So that's what we've been working on. There's been how did that happen? No, I think that's it. There was only just a few images. I don't know. We seem to have found some more at last. But so you've got an idea of what we're trying to do. Lots and lots of terrain. There is, I think, 6 tables. We need 14 tables. Daz, who's in the chat there, I think is providing. Daz, correct me if I'm wrong. 5 or 7. So we're potentially halfway there with what Daz can provide, and we are somewhere between 6 and 9 tables from the channel, depending on what we can get done on time, possibly even a 10th table. I tell you what though, if anybody knows any map producers or any terrain producers out there that would be willing in sponsoring an event that's primarily driven around raising money for cancer research, then please put me in touch with them. But please, a contact, as opposed to, hey, these guys, reach out to them. If you know a contact that you can make an introduction to or something like that, that would be greatly appreciated. We probably need about another 4 or 5 tables. It'd be great. It'd be great if we could kind of, get that in place. But yeah, if not, we'll make it work. One way or another, we will have those tables. We will have those tables. So yeah, I think that's been going really well. There's been a lot of work taking place. Next up, the tournament pack review, really. I wanted to just have a quick look at this. I'm really, there it is. The event is up. It's live. It's in BCP. I'm absolutely thrilled. It's taken me a while to get there. If you want some details, it's on the 16th to the 17th of December. It's a 2-day event, 2,000 points. It works on the kind of Metabreaker philosophy. The pack is available on the page. It's £45 for the weekend. You get lunch on both Saturday and Sunday as part of that. I'm going to stress here, I'm not going to make a lot of money on this, if anything. And if I do make money on it, whatever I make money on ticket sales, and I'll be specific there, ticket sales will be going to charity. It will be going to cancer research. There is, throughout the weekend, a bunch of planned activities to raise additional money for cancer research, things like a raffle and stuff like that. So we're going to be I'm giving away a lot of my own like personal collection in raffles and stuff like that, because I for those of you who know what kind of year I've had, I think it'd be great if I can, given what I'm doing, combine both loves of appreciation of the treatment that I've received and the love of the hobby. And doing things like fun hobby raffles and stuff like that seems to be the way to go. It's a 28-man event. I think at the moment there's 14 end of event prizes, shall we say. So if you show up to this, you've got a 50% chance of receiving a prize. It's aimed at a celebration as much as anything. It doesn't mean you can't earn those prizes. All of that's in the pack. The main drive is to just come and have fun for a weekend. That is and there are some even tiny minor prizes on each of the rounds. So there's another 5 minor prizes to be achieved throughout the rounds as well. But we'll come to that. But there's going to be a lot of fun, basically. And well, for those of you who know me, I'm not happy unless it's a good experience. So I've been working really hard on how we make the experiential side of the thing really work. So yeah, here we are. Here's the details on the event. If you want to go along and register, that would be fantastic. I think at the moment we've got, what was it? 16 of 28 places already gone. It's been up less than 24 hours. So it went live about mid-morning today. So places going fast. So 12 places left. So yeah, please, you can either, there's one of two things. You can either just register for this event through BCP, but that's only card payment. If you want to make a PayPal payment, give me a shout. A few people have reached out because they've just wanted to do a PayPal / donation and stuff like that, in which case I can register you into the event as well. But it will be lovely to see anybody there. We've got some good characters coming along. I'm not going to name and shame at this stage, but I know it's going to be a good event for a whole range of abilities and stuff. So I mean, last of all is the pack, really. So this is a quick glance at the event pack. It talks about what we're trying to do with it. The idea is it's not just another event, but it's it's creativity, innovation, and unorthodox tactics. In other words, what I really like is this statement where innovation meets victory. So the idea is we want you to do something different. I talk a little bit about the background to the kind of cancer and why I'm doing this. I've finished treatment. My health is improving day by day. It was sort of improving day by day. You can go backwards and forwards with radiotherapy, and I'll be honest, the last 5 days I've been going backwards, not forwards. But overall, you go forwards. Sometimes you just have to accept the fact you're going backwards a little bit. Talking to Jack at an event, what happened? We said, why not? I've always wanted to run an event. That's the truth of it. I've always wanted to run an event, and I've always wanted it to be something that focuses around the experiential side of it, something that's just good fun to do. I want it to be competitive, so it still needs to be competitive. It doesn't, it's not nuts, but at the same time, I want it to be fun. So, yeah, lots of stuff in here. We talk about what Metabreakers is. There's lovely little facts. These are verified facts, so 60% of the time meta lists are created by Luke all the time. That's been verified by Guinness Book of Records. How do the awards work? We've got this idea of a Metabreaker award, so we've got some special points that you can earn prior to the event. So we're basically awarding people based on their list build. We're asking them to do something different with their list, and this is going to be really, really important. This is not binding. You do not have to pay any attention to this whatsoever, but you can earn yourself a few extra points. So we've got some funny little things in there. Here we come again. Your army must not feature a war scroll, or your army must feature one of these war scrolls. No battle scroll exceeding 500 points. All leader slots filled, and your army must have no drop reducing battalions included. Those 5 conditions, if you can meet 3 of them, you get a fixed bonus point. Well, not 1 point, but a fixed set of points, which is a bonus. If you get 4 or 5, it will be used as a differentiator. If you only make 2, you get nothing. But again, you do not have to do this. If you don't want to do this, look, it doesn't matter. It says all along, don't worry about it. You can still show up and go for the Best General Award. I am quite brutal. This award recognises your performance on the table alone. Bring your favourite list. Go 5-0. You bloodthirsty killer. You are still welcome at this event. But what we're trying to do is create an environment here where people engage it. I've been surprised how many people already who have signed up to this really like this and have engaged with it. Dolly there, Dolly Parton, of course, a well-known Age of Sigmar player. Every current meta list starts off with Enterprise in general out there willing to try something different. Great quote from Dolly. I was glad she had the time for me. And we've kind of just filled this out with stuff that it's been important to us, and I think I'll come on to that next. Anyway, look, that's what the pack is looking like. There's lots and lots to it, and there's lots more to it. It keeps going, basically. Something I worked very long on and very hard to get this out, and for it to really set the tone of what we're trying to do with the event. I'm very excited to run the event and see what people think of this. Will we have got everything right? No. We're trying this for the first time. Is it directionally where we want to be? Absolutely. The idea of Metabreakers is to encourage people to do something different. So the idea of an event that awards people to do something different is absolutely in line with what we're trying to do. Is our 5 criteria? You're absolutely right. No, they probably need some tweaking. Can we come up with different ones? Yes, we definitely can. Will we do that? Probably in the future. All of those things. So, but we like the idea of a pack that encourages you to try something different. And that's what it's about, really. Why, I suppose, final thing. Mate, there's some chat. Let's just catch up on the chat. Should be between 5 and 7. Do you want the pieces that came with them tables in? I got from Houston. No, you'll be all right, Martin. That's cool. I think we're good. Elster Nation, just quickly stopping by to say hello. Hello, Elster Nation. I've not seen you in a long time. Well, I actually have seen you quite often because I do watch the show. Yeah, it'd be nice to catch up at some point. Big Tom dropping in, just saying hello. I'm going to start from the beginning. Oh, see you later, Big Tom. How does that work? Some kind of time slip. Martin saying I know those guys. Yeah, well, there's some good faces in that pack, which probably comes to my next section, really, which was, this idea of what this event was about. As I sort of mentioned, I've always wanted to do an event, but at the same time, it's something I've never got round to. I've always thought it would be too much of a challenge and I didn't know where to start. And I think what happened with this is I just gave myself no option but just to have a go at it. I've been so far pleasantly surprised. It's not as hard as I thought. Oh man, I can't believe I've just said that. I think handling the people is going to be the hardest aspect of it. It's just people dropping out, people trying to get in last minute, people not showing up on the last minute, finding out you've got an odd number of players, all of those things that I'm going to be having to worry about on the event itself. But between now and then, I've actually had a fairly bump-free ride. BCP is a great app, well supported as well. I don't know who the chap is who supports BCP, but he was straight on it with some support for me. really surprised and really pleased by that. I do have a whole bunch of other questions which I'm going to be sending to him, but that was absolutely great. So there was this idea that I always wanted to do an event. I always wanted to do a tournament, and I always felt it would be a bridge too far to even tackle it, and didn't know where to start. Well, you know, something that having a brain tumor and being told you've only got weeks to live sort of thing does for you is just focus your mind into going, well, all of those unknowns which were stopping me from doing something like this is nonsense, and they all exist in my head. I think there was a great thing that a Macmillan there said to me, which is like, you know, most of your fears are informed by your past and have nothing to do with your future. And I think that's the idea of, I'm not going to get too philosophical, don't worry about it, but I can't help it at the moment. I think the idea that you just stop yourself from doing things because you're worried about, like, you know, unnecessary things. I just got into it. Why are we doing it? Why does it make sense to me to be doing this? Well, there was a period during my illness and subsequently then treatment that the hobby was impossible for me, that it took most of my sight from me at one point, and then slowly over time my sight has returned, which has enabled me to do more and more of the hobby. So the hobby itself was a difficult thing for me. It was a difficult thing to engage with, but it's become something that I've become focused on because I enjoy it. And I've thought more and more about what it means to me as well. And I have to say that the tournaments are the place that I think I've probably found most of the enjoyment. You know, and I've got some photos here from the past, and there's some beautiful people on here. There's Fabian, look at this DC, a little bit of Aaron is there as well. This is a doubles tournament, I think, if I remember rightly, and yeah, Pirate in the background. And then, you know, even going back to like the start of the channel, that's Jack's beautiful Trog Rider army in the he won best army at the doubles tournament. And I know that's a weird thing to say, he won best army at the doubles tournament, but honestly, compared to of the two halves of the army, it was definitely Jack's army that won the best army. I think I just had some models stuck at the side of it. You know, this is some stuff from the latest Belgium GT. The boys have been over there, and they're just, you know, like, how good is this? How good do you have these experiences where you know, you go along, you take your models. Look at that amazing concentration on Aaron's face there, and then he didn't make his roll. But you know, these have all been great nights and great fun, and lots of laughs, and yeah, all of this has meant a lot to me over the years. You know, right from the kind of start of the channel, I think in there was a photo from 2016, which I think was the first tournament I went to with Jack. I think that was the first tournament I went to with Jack. You know, yeah, yonks ago. And it was great fun, and I really enjoyed it, and we've not stopped since. And the idea of providing that for people, and also focusing on how can we make it more fun and more inclusive, and, you know, different and challenging, and even for people who have done 50 tournaments this year so far, you know, to do something different where they have to look at their list and go, well, let's just try something different, or I'm going to engage with this. And I have to say, the biggest fear I've had with this is when you start introducing those like bonus rules where you say, okay, we want you to play the game, but we want you to play the game different. It suddenly feels quite draconian. My worry was like, well, no, I'm not going to come there because I want to come and play the game how I want to play the game. And really all we've done is we've just, you know, I think I've come to terms with the fact that what we've done is tweak the parameters. It's still your game. You can still show up. You can still show up, you can still do what you need to do, you can still take the list you want to take if you want to take that list. But we are rewarding and encouraging you to do something different. And ultimately what we're trying to do is to create an event where you show up with something different. And what's the great news is every single one of your 5 games you face something different. That's the great thing, because I've shown up to tournaments, and I think the worst I had was I played the same list 3 times out of 5 games. You know, I mean, literally the same list. So it's like, all right, okay, re-rack, let's go again. You know, it was like, I mean, the great news is by the time I got to the end of the tournament, I was really well practiced against it. But you know, I think that's what well, that's what we're trying to do, is to kind of bring this variety and fun element into it as well. So I'm not saying the other stuff isn't fun. It is fun. I enjoy it, and taking a big pile of filth is just as fun as taking something nonsensical. But I think the problem is when you take something nonsensical and encounter a big pile of filth, it can it can hit you quite hard. There we go. So there we go. That's why. That's what it's about. It is about celebrating Age of Sigmar. It's about celebrating I'm still alive at the end of my treatment, which was no mean feat. I had, as I mentioned, I had a meeting with my consultant this week, and I was expressing frustrations with some of the radiotherapy side effects I've had. I've got a lot of stuff going off at my skin around my neck at the moment. And she just like looked at me, the consultant just looked at me and went, "Oh, honestly, what are you talking about?" She was like, "Right now we expected you to be in hospital, semi-conscious, feeding through a tube, you know, and you're walking in, happy as anything, moaning about, you know, some skin burn, some radiation burn, you know, delayed radiation burn." She was like, "Honestly, get over yourself." So yeah, I have to get used to that, I suppose. I mean, you know, you don't take away from the fact it's discomfort, but at the same time, it's like it could be a hell of a lot worse. And I think it's taken me a while to come to terms with the fact that I don't have the good news. I don't have the it's gone, and I won't have that news until late December or January. And one of the things she told me that is, even when I get that news, it won't necessarily mean anything. This is a particularly nasty cancer. So I might get the news in January that says it's gone, but it could be back in 3 months, it could be back in 6, it could be back in 12. It's a vivacious little bugger, basically. So even that news doesn't necessarily mean that the classic Damocles sword is removed from me. So I want to move on, as daft as it sounds, to it, you know, from a day-by-day existence to planning for the future, and you know, living for the best and assuming the best. And just not thinking about the worst until the worst is informed by the future as opposed to the past. So I think that's where I'm at, and that's why we're doing an event, and that's why I'm so thrilled. So many friends have already registered to the event, and you know, people have contacted me and signed up to the event and those kind of things, and it's been absolutely amazing. I honestly, it's just going to be a 2-day party. And I'm really looking forward to it. So if you want to come along, just go onto BCP and search for Metabreakers. We're the only event that shows up under that title. But 16th to 17th of December, we're based in the Midlands in the UK. Age of Sigmar, 2,000 points. Download the pack, it's available on the link there, and check it out. But in the meantime, I'm not going to keep doing updates about the tournament, I don't think, between now and then. I mean, I might touch on it, but I think, you know, the next Musing show might talk a little bit more about where I'm at with conversions. I really want to do a show with Jack about, you know, designing a theme for your converted army or for your thematic army, and where the thinking about that theme comes from, and the process that we sometimes go through. Because Jack and I are, well, we're obviously a little bit tapped, because for some reason we thought Dolly Parton songs would be an absolute perfect match to the criteria for Metabreakers. None of us really understands that, and we still, between the two of us, don't quite know where it came from. But we apply obviously that same mismatch of insane logic when it comes to designing an army theme and those kind of things, and how you sort of end up with Trog Riders. And yeah, each one of those models is a story in its own right, which informs the conversion, and I'd love to do a show about that. So that may be a future Monday Musing. We will see. Okay, all I can say is a big thank you to everyone who joined me tonight. Well, this is quick catch up on the chat. Daz saying you'll smash it if we can run one. Sure. Daz, you were brilliant on the chat we had. We had a like a little conference call at the start of the week, and he was absolutely brilliant. So again, appreciate all the help you've given me, and I will take you up on that offer as a terrain party if you're willing to come around and paint some bloody terrain. Because, oh mate, it's so much work, isn't it? Elsa Nation, my dad had cancer, it was a long road, and a few ups later, to be clear, to keep at it, moving forward. Bless you, man. Yeah, there's good news, you know, at the end of the road, possibly, and right now, you know, I'm doing the classic, you know, Han Solo, don't tell me the odds, I think seems to be the best way. So there you go, Captain Mannerings. Amazing to see where it says. Good to see you in the chat, sir. Like I say, I might do a few more of these if people are coming along to them and they're interested to hear me waffle on, and they don't care about the messy studio in the background. Then I'm up for it. And like I say, I don't think we'll be focusing too much on the tournament and those kind of things, but we'll definitely be talking a little bit more about the hobby and what's happening in the hobby and the the state of it, etc. From my perspective. But yeah, and from a channel perspective, I've been really pleased with the work that the rest of the team are doing. There's some great work coming out of Studio North, not only battle reports, but some other new show formats as well, which I think is really exciting. So yeah, there's a lot happening at the moment with Metabreakers, which I'm absolutely thrilled with. And I am utterly thrilled to be here in October, November 2023, talking about all of this lot. All right, have a good night, and we'll see you again soon. I don't know whether the credits is going to work, because believe it or not, I still forgot to fix them. See you later, guys.